Yogi Bear squeezing the cream out of the bulls like an overweight American biting into a jelly cream filled donut. Bitcoin has pulled back to the 21 and 50 DMAs as discussed yesterday. But the biggest question now is, will this very big thing happen next? I'm your host, Bobby Biggums, and what I have to show you in this video is so big, you're gonna wish that it wasn't this big. Make sure to hit that like, subscribe, turn on these absolutely time-sensitive alerts. Make sure to tick the bell, ring the little bell, so you get these absolutely time-sensitive alerts. Because this is very big indeed. Even bigger than your wife's urge to leave you and find a real man that doesn't invest in magic internet money like Bitcoin. But as well, I have one Instagram and one Twitter, and they're both in the description below. If you find an Instagram or Twitter that's not in the description below, it's not real, it's fake. So that's like most of them. Because I only have two, and there's like thousands of fake ones. As well, if you guys are interested in any deals, bonuses, getting altcoins, trading, securing your crypto, make sure to check out all the links in the description below. And without any further ado, let's get dumped on. Big. So Bitcoin is in a very, you could say extremely big critical zone right now. And as we talked about in yesterday's video, we'll just play the clip real quick. And a backtest to those levels around 40K is absolutely in the cards. In fact, that's exactly what to expect. So I don't think... Wow, absolutely extremely big. So yeah, we've gotten a backtest. We're testing these levels now. This is where things get a little bit big. So we set a low back in January, the end, and then also at the end of February. And here we are, obviously heading back down after getting rejected at the same exact level of about the mid 40,000 range, which we have been getting dumped on ever since we've gotten up here after we failed to hold it as support as we started off 2022, the very first couple of days of 2022, where we breached significantly below these levels and have not ever been able to reclaim it since. And that's illustrated, even nicer here, where again, these levels of the mid 40,000s have not been good for Bitcoin. It has not been fun. It's just not done a good job of breaking any of those levels. Just consistent rejection right at 45,000 exactly. Okay. For the entire year. So 2022 began right here, and this is Bitcoin in 2022. Literally just trading between 32,000 and 45,000. So a $13,000 range here. And talk about sideways. Just been ping-pong balling back and forth for the last couple of months, the entire year of 2022. And we've just now gotten yet another rejection here to start off this new month. But as well, it's all okay. I mean, we haven't seen a breakout or a breakdown really, as I just pointed out with that chart. We've just been trading sideways in some sort of rectangular, squarish, square type pattern. But even more importantly, again, after breaking above and holding the 50-day moving average, we lost it in the middle of February, and we recently reclaimed it the very last day of February. But here we are already testing this again after getting rejected off 45. So really the key here is not going below 34,000. Or specifically, let's even round up to 35 because we just do not want to set a lower low. We did not set a lower low back at the end of February, about 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago. And that's just really important for maintaining Bitcoin's price integrity at this point. We see the volume actually not doing that bad comparatively. And on the long-term charts, the reason that's so important is because we're actually continuing to form this hidden bullish divergence here for Bitcoin on this weekly time frame. So it's a slow battle, but as long as we maintain it, then it's not bad. That's good. Still not fun at all because it's just been grindy, slow price action. And in fact, just like we pointed out, how Bitcoin's kind of been trading within a sideways range for the past 3 months here, like this, on this 6-hour chart. We look at the weekly chart, Bitcoin's basically been doing the same thing over an even longer period of time, the entire last 15 months. So yeah, we've had weeks of a couple months of sideways here, but realistically, we've had well over a year of also the same choppy, boring price action. And again, It's just very important to note, again, we still see this MACD kind of curving up. And the last time we saw this happen on the weekly chart, we saw Bitcoin run from, 29,000 to 69,000. Nice. To a new all-time high. So patience is key here, but what I fully still anticipate to happen over the next couple of weeks, as long as we don't set that lower low, that's like the one caveat there, is setting that lower low that we just talked about on this chart here, okay? Either if we breach either of these, obviously this one though, if we breach 34, as long as we maintain that, then I think we are fully ready for a makeout, breakout, mommy makeout confirmed, just like this, just like we saw when Bitcoin ran to those very high levels. But again, it all depends on if this lower low can be averted. Now, also, what's important to note is that back in the summer, we actually did have a lower low, and it got kind of ugly here back in the summer. Remember, if you guys were here from beginning of May to the end of July, just a couple of months of very, very choppy, dumpy price action before massively going to the upside. Now, we've already been dumpy for quite a long time here. Really, we've been dumpy for about, almost 4 months of straight dumpage. Whereas back in the summer, we had about 2.5 months. It seemed longer because it was very dumpy, but this has been a much slower dump, and with seemingly no bouncing at all. So we've already kind of far surpassed the dumpiness we saw back in the summer. So again, in my opinion, the only reason we have not blasted off is because of the global economic turmoil that we are currently facing with the markets, with inflation, the risk of the beginning of tapering, and interest rate cuts and everything like that. So Bitcoin's just waiting on the sidelines here, and so this is very big. And at this very moment, Bitcoin is slightly below those key moving averages. So again, that's why I mentioned in this video, as long as we maintain this higher low and not a lower low down here in the mid 30,000s, then that's okay for Bitcoin. But again, we've seen many pullbacks. The demand for Bitcoin at the $30,000 level is extremely big, and even above that, which is why we have not seen Bitcoin dip down to those levels, because demand is huge even in the mid 30,000s. So again, if we see this pullback continue, which it looks as though it's very likely going to, also, another thing I actually want to note as well, the SPX, which is insanely correlated, obviously, so it's very important to watch if you're watching Bitcoin. This isn't good. We're below the 50-week moving average, and it looks as though we're getting rejected off of it. Again, this is longer term, so we have to see if it closes this week, which it will be in just moments here. But it looks pretty dumpy, and we have not gotten rejected. We haven't been below this 50-week substantially ever since the crash back in March of 2020, so 2 years ago, when this whole rally began, the whole Bitcoin and stock market explosion began to the upside. So that, again, is not a great sign. We're seeing stocks weaken very much. Bitcoin is fundamentally different than the stock market, but price-wise, it is very correlated. So will we see that those two things start to diverge in the future? That's kind of like the big question here. But for right now, this is not a good sign, just because we're seeing consistent dumpiness from the SPX as well the entire year of 2022. In fact, the all-time high for the SPX was the first week of 2022, and it's only been dumpy since then. Okay, from an all-time high of like a little under 5,000 to where we are now around 4,300, which for the stock market or for the SPX, that's very substantial, right? Down 10-15% at its lowest. That is very, very big. So Bitcoin's key structure here is just maintaining. We do not want to break this structure here. On these longer term charts, we are still below the 50 and 21 weekly moving averages, which is actually kind of right where we got rejected. Currently, they're right around like 47,000 for the 50 week, but Bitcoin has a lot of work to do. And with Bitcoin returning to test 40K, again, the macro factors pile up to squash the Bitcoin bulls, and that's really all it is, especially because of the nuclear power plant on fire in Ukraine. I was watching that live last night. They were blasting it with bullets and lasers and laser beams and rocket launchers, probably. I don't know. Maybe not those weapons, but they were just blasting it. And that's not good for anyone, even Russia, right? Because Russia's like right beside Ukraine, so nobody wants nuclear power plant to get blasted. Not really sure what's going on here. I think it'd be better if they didn't shoot at nuclear power plants. But that absolutely is contributing to Bitcoin and the entire stock market as well. Pretty much everything going on in the world right now in terms of the Ukraine crisis is contributing heavily to how much money you're making or losing because of this current financial environment. If you guys are new to the channel, like, subscribe to miss these absolute time-sensitive alerts as well. If you guys are interested in any deals, bonuses, make sure to check out everything below. If you're interested in doing fake trading where you don't risk any money, you can use the links below, and they have simulated trading where you can practice and learn about stop losses and learn about just the basics of trading without using a single penny, right? Which I absolutely recommend. Always, don't trade unless you at least know the very, very basics. And even still, as I've always said, it's not smart to trade with a significant amount of your portfolio anyway. At least that's what I've always done. I have never traded with more than 10%, and even 10% is kind of substantial if you really think about it, because trading is risky. But also, let's be honest, being in crypto is risky, and even today, being in the stock market is risky. Pretty much everything right now financially is risky. So keep that in mind. I can't think of anything that's not really that risky. I guess gold, but you're not going to make or lose money. You're just going to be trapped in time like a dinosaur and miss out on everything exciting and live your life in the most boring way possible. And as well, I have one Twitter and one Instagram. Every other account of me is fake, and the only real ones are linked in my description below. I don't have any backup accounts. Without any further ado, it's a free.